Fitzpatrick is the director of the Center to Advance Security in America. He's a former official in the Trump 45 administration. He's also an Army veteran, and he's written a piece at Town Hall. Headline, Step Aside, Robed Resistance. The DOD is within its legal right to ban gender dysphoric service members. Mr. Fitzpatrick, glad to have you along. Hi.
Hey, Chris. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
You bet. Let me start, if I could, with something I loved yesterday from Pete Hegseth, who continues to be the enemy of the military-industrial complex. If you would, Paulie, 1906. Listen to this with me, Mr. Fitzpatrick. I'll get your reaction on the other side.
No more pronouns. No more climate change obsession. No more emergency vaccine mandates. No more dudes in dresses. We're done with that.
We're done with that excrement. James, what do you say?
Love it. No, thanks, Chris. This is exactly what people voted for, and this is exactly the change that the Trump administration and Secretary Hegseth are bringing and already have brought to the DOD. Look, I mean, we just went through 4 years of DEI nonsense, woke gender ideology being pushed on our great servicemen and women, and we're done with that. We're not going to be focused on DEI. We're not going to be focused on gender ideology. We're going to be focused on lethality and merit-based promotions and bringing our military back to fighting and winning the nation's wars. And that is what we need to be doing. That's what President Trump and Secretary Hegseth are focused on, and I think that's what the good secretary was referring to there.
I will pivot a little bit into a subject that I know you're not here to necessarily discuss, but I bet you'll have an opinion. My sense of things is official Washington really despises Pete Hegseth in particular. Like maybe more than anybody else, maybe even more than Donald Trump, because he is such an affront to what I genuinely believe. I mean, when you read everybody from the Wall Street Journal to National Review, all the kind of traditional conservative, I call them Cologne and Cufflink, Thurston and Lovey Howell, Republican publications that are writing these hit pieces on Hegseth, it's like their ox is being gored, right, James? It's clear that again, I hate overusing the term, the military-industrial complex is a real thing, and there are a lot of people getting really fat and happy from the Pentagon, and he's a threat to that.
I think that's right. Yeah, look, as a veteran, I can say he's a breath of fresh air. You know, he's a warfighter. It's been, God, I don't know how long since we've had an actual operator in charge of the department. And to see that he's not going to put up with nonsense. He's going to get in there. He's going to actually change things. He's a change agent. Guys that are infantrymen like him, they act and they act quickly and they solve problems. And that's what he's there to do. He's not there to make friends. He's not there to make money. He is there to bring change to a DOD where there is much change that is needed. And much policy changes that he can accomplish, and he has a short time to do it. And of course, the guns are out for him. But he is a tough guy, and the president knew that before he put him in there. He got through a tough confirmation fight, so he's ready to do it.
James Fitzpatrick with us. His piece at Town Hall, Step Aside, Robed Resistance. The DOD is within its legal right to ban gender dysphoric service members. He is a veteran. He is an attorney. He currently serves as director for the Center to Advance Security in America. There is resistance right now, not just from those in robes, some Republicans like Senator Tillis of North Carolina, who seem to want to resist the appointment by Donald Trump of Ed Martin to be the U.S. Attorney in Washington, D.C. And I wonder, as an attorney, I have seen some suggest that North Carolina, this, again, hotbed of the Mark Milley military-industrial complex types, they don't like the Trump agenda. They don't like the Ed Martin types. Do you have any thoughts on that?
I'm not exactly sure why the senator made that decision, but I do know that someone like Ed Martin is going to bring law and order to Washington, D.C. It's a town that greatly needs it, and I'm confident he'll bring it. And I'm confident he'll be confirmed.
Oh, really? Because without the support of at least Senator Tillis, it can't get out of committee. Do you think he'll change his mind?
That's right. Well, yeah. I mean, I'm not sure. I mean, I think he came out yesterday and made that announcement, but you know, things change, and I think that you know, he still has time to turn back and make the right decision here.
They say, I have heard, and not just Senator Tillis, but I've heard it from other Republican senators, that Ed Martin is too sympathetic to J6ers, and unless you are 100% ironclad, rock-ribbed denouncing of every single person in Washington, D.C. on January 6th, you're no good for the post, is effectively what some of these Republicans have said. What do you say?
Look, I mean, I think someone like Ed Martin, who has a long history of standing for law and order, is exactly the kind of person we need. You know, in terms of trying to figure out each and every January 6th case, whether or not whether or not they needed to be, you know, prosecuted or not. Of course, there's some people at January 6th that, you know, committed acts of violence that were dealt with accordingly. And of course, there's people at January 6th that, you know, were totally unfairly prosecuted in every way. So I think, you know, that we just need to make the right decision here. And you know, hopefully the senator and others will get back on track and bring someone like Ed Martin to confirmation. That'd be great.
Boy, I like your optimism, James. I'm going to take it.
Yeah,
we need
always
some
trying
of
to be
it.
optimistic.
So,
that's right.
Hey, that's great. I mean, you maybe you know something I don't, but people are kind of down on Tillis right now being a thorn in the side of Ed Martin's confirmation. But you're saying otherwise. Maybe we'll see.
Yeah.
You know, look, you are the director of something called the Center to Advance Security in America. When you talk about security in America, how can anyone dispute China is a direct threat to security in this country? Trump is trying to tackle China through this trade imbalance. And then along comes a guy like Mike Pence in 1907. Here again, it's like the people never mind Democrats, the people inside the Republican Party are starting to show themselves in ways that is just so disappointing to me. Listen to this, 1907, Paul, if you would, please.
He said that cheap goods was not a part of the American dream. Well, I'm somebody who spent almost my entire life in public service. We lived on our paycheck while we raised 3 kids and put 3 kids through college. Cheap goods are a big part of it. I think we ought to be candid about that.
James, I don't even know what to say to that. Mike Pence says we got to keep cheap good coming from China because that's the American dream.
Look, China's a problem, and they're a very big threat to the future of this country and the future of the working men and women of this country. But I think we've seen time and again that President Trump and his administration will stand against will stand for the American worker and stand up against their nonsense at every turn. And I think, you know, it will take some time. But what he's doing, I do think, in the long term, will be good for the worker, will be good for wages. And look, although, as the president said, I think in his last interview with ABC, look, you know,